Rams fans, I'm sure by now you've heard Will Wade is off to Baton Rouge to be the head coach of the LSU Tigers men's basketball program.
Whoa.
This news broke at what, about like 10:30 or so?
It's about 10:30 or so.
On Monday night?
Yeah. 6 years, Wade's heading down to LSU.
Could you believe it when you heard it?
Personally.
When you read it on Twitter, like most of us did.
I was shocked, personally.
I was as well.
God, I'm still having a hard time figuring out words for this.
Yeah,
Because
I'm having a weird like adrenaline rush right now.
Yeah, I've had
It's an odd feeling.
Yeah, we were just in this situation 2 years ago with Shaka Smart when he departed for Texas. And now, 2 years later, fast forward, we have the same exact situation again. But I don't think the Shaka thing, that was working over time. We had been around for 6 years. We had heard his name linked to bigger jobs, Marquette, UCLA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And at some point, we knew he was going to go.
Big bad Texas game calling. And we understood.
Yeah, after 6 years, he had the Final Four run, multiple NCAA tournament berths. I would say myself, it was about time. And I don't say that with any hate or anything like that, but it was just like, I feel like he took the program as far as he could go, let someone else do it, and see what he can do somewhere else.
Well, no, yeah, we're not going to get hung up on Shaka Smart.
Yeah,
I would say he could take it further than he did. He did a great job. But Wade leaving this program after just 2 years, he will be the fifth head coach at VCU in 11 years since Capel left. And then it was Grant, and then it was obviously Shaka, Wade, and we don't know who's number next? 5 is going to be. Before we get into who number 5 might be, what does this mean for next year? For the players on this team, there are so many variables, so many guys who could leave, stay, or whatever, who have good reasons to leave, good reasons to stay. How about let's start with the recruits. A very talented recruiting class, 4 guys, 2 top 100s. What do you think the odds are that VCU is able to hang on to 2 of the 4, if not, even just 1 of the 4?
This early in the game, who knows? I feel like that's a very unpredictable element because you don't know, did they commit to the coach or commit to the player?
Nobody commits to a program. No one commits to a program these days in college sports. And I agree that they probably shouldn't. They should commit to a coach, even though it's dangerous that coach leaves.
Unless you're going to one of the top programs in the country. But still, it's very unpredictable.
These kids, Will Wade was known to be a great recruiter. So I have no doubt these kids, these recruits, came to play for Will Wade. So I'm very interested to see. I'm pretty confident that they won't play a single minute in a VCU uniform. I think at least 2 of the 4, the 2 top 100 recruits, Kerr and Batts.
Yeah, give it a week.
If history has taught us anything in college basketball, if recent history has taught us anything, is that top 100 players come for the coach. And when the coach leaves, we saw it with Shaka. Shaka's amazing recruiting class, his magnum opus recruiting class at VCU with Mack, Williams, and Murphy, all of them. The moment Shaka was in Texas, they were out. Asked for the release, got the release like they should. They should get a release. Just like if our kids want to leave, they should get the release.
Yeah. And, some of the players on that team at the time, they were considering leaving.
Terry Larrier did actually leave.
Jaquan was on the fence. JT was on the fence. But
the one saving grace for those guys, I think, was Will Wade was an assistant under Shaka, and Melvin knew Wade, had a good relationship with Wade. So through Melvin, Wade was able to get the the players who, not the recruits and not Terry, but the players who'd kind of been around for a couple years and had developed a nice relationship with Melvin to stay.
And Jaquan,
some loyalty there.
Jaquan, through the Tennessee pipeline that Wade has, he was considering leaving, but he decided to stay when he heard Wade was coming on board, who actually recruited Jaquan Lewis. So, but as for now, maybe who could, I'm not going to say who could leave, but could we possibly see someone leave off the current team right now?
Absolutely. Darn, I'd be willing to bet the house. I'd be willing to bet the house that we're in right now, and I'm sure there's some people that would not appreciate if I did that. But I'd be willing to bet this house. I think it'd be a safe bet that VCU loses at least one current player, not including a recruit. I think they lose at least half the four-man recruiting class, and I think they lose at least one player. I think the seniors are safe. Johnny Williams and Justin Tillman. I don't think they're going to.
This is their second time going through
right,
this.
And you got to feel for those kids. But I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, they're not going to graduate early, which means they're not going to be able to grad transfer. So they would have to sit out a year. So I think they're just going to go for their senior season. And as a junior, or they would be a senior next year, they kind of developed a little loyalty to the program at this point. But the rest of the guys, there's no junior. Because Shaka left and took the class of 15 with him, there's not a junior on this roster now for next year's season. Dowdy came in and redshirted. The two other guys Wade brought in transferred out, and Hamdi came in as an upperclassman. He will probably be a senior next year. No juniors on the roster.
Isaac Van, who knows what his deal is.
Here's the thing. Van's super talented, willing to transfer for a better situation, but the issue is he just burned his redshirt season to come to VCU. So he will be a redshirt sophomore. If he decides to transfer again, he will have to sit out another year. So he'll only get to play 2 more years after sitting out 2 years. To me, that's not worth it, but I don't know how Van feels about this. And then you look at Dowdy. Dowdy's already redshirted his first year at VCU, so it's hard to imagine him leaving because he's already burned that redshirt year. But guys like Dariante, Malik, and Markel Frazier.
And Malik, he's a Louisiana boy, so I mean.
I don't know the full situation on the scholarships if Wade has scholarships to give right now, but those three are on the hot seat. Dariante, we know how talented he is. He has put out a pretty nice freshman resume. There are going to be some suitors for the rising sophomore. So I guess what we're getting at here is this is a VCU program that's potentially about to be gutted. They will realistically have lost 2 recruiting classes in 3 years, the 15 class and now the 17 class. I hope, the recruits stay on, but it's unrealistic to expect more than 2 of the 4 to stay on. And it's not out of the question that all 4 of them ask out of their letters of intent, will get it, and are off somewhere else.
And you got to think, how hard was it for Coach Wade to put together the recruiting class he had when he came in? Like, a lot of those guys were summer signings. Corey Bilberry, Hamdi, Samir, he committed to St. John's, and then last minute switched up, came to VCU. So for whoever the next guy is, depending on the situation with the recruits and players on the team now that might decide to leave, and also you had 5 seniors on the roster, that coach is going to have to work some magic.
Work wonders in the late recruiting period. He's going to need grad transfers. If VCU is going to maintain their streak of 7 straight NCAA tournaments, if that's going to be extended to 8, something that we're very proud here in Richmond, grad transfers are going to have to show up on campus for VCU.
And that is not going to be easy.
Not too long. And it's going to be a way tougher sell than it was before. We were hoping to see some grad transfers with Will because we knew the team could use a little bit more.
He was committed to getting
a little bit more punch next year. But now it's much more difficult to get a grad transfer in now that you have a VCU team that's going to be gutted.
And also, think about who's potentially on that schedule next year for VCU. The teams you're going to have to face.
Texas, the Maui Invitational, which
LSU is in.
Awkward.
Oh, we don't know how that is going to be set up.
They could
Wichita State and LSU in there. They were in the recent tournament, the battle for Atlantis.
VCU they were in crushed that LSU.
They destroyed them, and now you're coming back. Potentially could come back to that again this year, but this time you're looking at it. Most VCU fans are going to be watching from their TV screens, and just after months, you're going to have to look at Coach Wade and be like, he was on our sideline.
I can't believe that he's over there.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, I wonder if there's a clause in his contract like Shaka had, like Capel had, like Grant had, where his team has to come back and do a home and home. If that's the case, then Texas won't be done with their home and home by the time that it's time for Wade to get his home and home with LSU back.
ESPN probably had that game on lock as a game next year for that storyline. Wade, the teacher, the student, Wade smart, but now Wade's gone. who knows how that's going to go, but that's
But they could play each other next year. Think about that. They could potentially play each other 4 years in a row if that home clause is in the contract and they're able to get it done quickly enough.
We're on year 3 with
If they play next year, it'll be 2 years, and then if they do the home and home starting in 2019, they could play 4 years, or be 2018. They could play 4 years in a row, which would be pretty random.
Yeah, potential. That's up to how the suits and VCU manage that contract, or it could be a buyout clause where LSU could just say, take the money, do what you want with it. We'll avoid it, but who knows?
Texas decided, Shaka decided that he would do the home and home and honor that. I think Wade.
But look, we're in year 3. We're in year 3, and that's just now starting though. So who knows how much time it could be 2019. We just talking about getting it up off the ground, but like this whole situation in a matter of minutes
has shaken the foundation for what was once arguably the steadiest, the most dependable program in the NCAA, is what you knew you were going to get out of them. Next year, they are a complete variable. And who are they going to bring on to coach?
Obvious names that just fly off the pages. Mike Rose, who was the runner-up to the job that Shaka avoided when he left, but things happened and Will Wade got the job. Rhodes, could he come back? And he has Joey Rodriguez on his staff down at Rice right now in Houston. So who knows what could happen there. Jamon Christian at Mount St. Mary's. He's led his team to the tournament 2 times within the last 5 years. Those are 2 names right off the bat. But, I mean, other than them 2, who knows?
It's hard to see outside because there's other openings right now. Not that I think that VCU,
Indiana,
right? Cal. Not that VCU is going to be competing with whoever Indiana's going after, but it's just another opening that needs to get filled. And then Cal obviously is open, and that's a job that I think VCU fans would be like, "Come on now, like we can do better. We can get a better coach than Cal."
And also, you gotta wait for the other dominoes to fall. Cusco Martin, he was the head coach of Cal. He got fired.
Right.
You gotta see what happens to him.
He didn't get fired,
but he left.
He left to Missouri, and whoever fills in at Indiana will leave a void at their school.
And also Archie Miller with Dayton. I'm not saying he's coming here by any stretch of the imagination.
But that could create another opening.
But you gotta wait for that domino to fall. Tom Crean, who just got fired at Indiana.
I think we should give Crean a call. I think we should.
I would love that. You have an established coach who's taking his team to the top at Indiana. That would be great, but I'm not sure if he will be willing. I hate to say this, but him to come down to VCU.
Darnell, do you remember before this news broke, I told you, you might not remember this, but I told you I thought Tom Crean was one of the most accomplished coaches to ever be fired in NCAA basketball history. I was singing Tom Crean's praises
and then
before this happened. So maybe is Crean the guy? The issue is, once you're at that level at Indiana, you go down to VCU. You don't go down there to stay there. You go down there to rise back up again. Yeah. So who would be your dream coach right now? Of realistic candidates. You can't go, Krzyzewski's not coming.
Oh, no. I don't think. The hate that people have for Duke, and it rubs off to Krzyzewski, I don't think he would ever come here, or anyone would want to see him here. But, I mean, personally, I would just say bring in Mike Rhodes.
Mike Rhodes.
But it's not my call.
Right. Well, I don't think anyone's going to mistake
He's familiar with the system here. He's familiar with the tradition. Former assistant coach. He knows a lot of the suits at VCU. Probably familiar with a lot of the fans and donors and everybody else on the inside that helps make VCU program what it is now. I think that is the more ideal candidate. But, I mean, I got a feeling whoever the suit is in charge of making the decision, I know who it is. But he might go out a little bit outside the box.
Rhodes is definitely the punt. That's to say that implies that Rhodes is bad. It's not that, but he's the most obvious coach to take. He's not necessarily the best one out there. He's still what, in year 3 or so at Rice, so there's still some proving himself.
This would be year 3 coming.
So there's still some proving himself to do at Rice, but if he'd be willing to come back, VCU fans will certainly welcome him back
coming up.
With open arms. The bottom line, though, Darnell, is next year is going to be one hell of an interesting season.
You thought 2015.
For VCU basketball. If you thought that was an up and down season, and we
imagine what we could be in store for year 2017.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the most eventful off seasons in VCU history. So stay tuned to VCU Sports. We'll have it all covered and accounted for, and hopefully we know a little bit more by the end of the week with recruits and everything and a coach.
Yeah, just follow us.
Another off season for VCU men's basketball.
Yeah, you thought Weight Watch, this ain't even last long, but follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm at I Like Darnell.
I'm at Derek Marion.
Until next time, hopefully by the next time we crank something out that's good, we'll have another man in charge, but who knows?
5th coach in 11 years.
Ooh-wee.